No kid gloves needed with Glory Girl, which was just so satisfying.
Only glory gloves.
Exactly.
Welcome to Inchworm,
the podcast in which we're inching through Worm. I'm Jenny.
and I'm Ted.
Sentinel 9.4 is what we read this time.
Kid Win.
It was Kid Win.
Also known
I
as...
called it.
We don't know. We didn't actually learn Kid Win's name in this chapter.
Yeah. Did we really get, any backstory on him whatsoever?
Yeah, he has a dad.
His parents and the... Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I mean, I have a little more to say on that, but up top,
No
impressions, takes...
This kid needs to stop with the negative self-talk.
Right?
His self-image is so awful.
I would like to formally apologize to Kid Win, who listens to our podcast.
Obviously.
For some reason, it struck
Win.
me on the reread, despite having so much affection for him, that it would be funny to dunk on him, because he just, throughout the story so far, fails over and over again and has a really silly name. But now that we've peered behind the curtain, I'm rooting for him to unironically win.
Yeah.
And so I need to apologize to Kid Win. I don't know your real name. I mean, I do, but I can't say it on the podcast yet. And
What is it, Ted?
Yeah, he doesn't deserve the teasing
Mockery.
that I have been giving him so far.
He's doing enough mockery of himself.
Exactly.
I mean, it's right there in the first line. I'm a tinker. I'm supposed to be smart. He's so hard on himself.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
Yeah, well, I'll give you my hot take about that, but
Should
first,
I tell you
do you
the
want to
summary?
summarize
Okay.
the chapter?
All right, so we start in the middle of the fight where we left off. Ballistic is taking on Kid Win and Vista, and Kid Win realizes he's signaling his attacks and waiting until they're almost evading them before he shoots anything their way. And Sundancer is kind of doing the same thing. Her sun is there, but it's small. It's not too close to anyone. Kid Win realizes that they're holding back because if they went all out, they would kill people.
Yeah.
Trickster and Genesis are fighting Weld and Clockblocker. So Kid Win's like, all right, well, let's keep focusing on Ballistic and Sundancer. And he uses one of his cool guns, his spark pistol. Ooh. We get a little bit of background on how it works. We get some of Kid Win dunking on himself for being able to make this, but doing something stupid like taking his hoverboard apart to get parts for a project he didn't even finish.
No!
Idiot, he says to himself. Really, he needs some, cognitive behavioral therapy. Ballistic is attacking Vista, and Glory Girl intervenes, and Ballistic, instead of shooting something at Glory Girl, just shoots Glory Girl across the sky in what was one of my favorite moments of the chapter.
This might be one of the objectively best things that happens in all of Worm. It's like that moment, and this is not an original observation by any means, but I do think it comes to mind, that in the end of an episode of the Pokemon anime, when Team Rocket gets yeeted into the sky and disappears into a little twinkle of light, really Glory Girl delightful. Blasting off again.
And it's just so fun. He's taking so much care, Ballistic is, with Kid Win and with Vista, who are just, fragile humans. He gets Glory Girl. He's like, oh, I can just shoot her across the sky. She'll be fine. No kid gloves needed with Glory Girl, which was just so satisfying.
Only glory gloves.
Exactly. Flechette is shooting at Sundancer, and Kid Win is like, ooh, Trickster didn't teleport her. Maybe he can only teleport what he sees, and so he has a plan, but unfortunately he gets teleported before he can carry it out, and ends up sort of tangling with Genesis, realizes she's actually taking a lot of damage from Weld's hits, but doesn't seem to be too bothered by it. Kid Win shoots her with his laser rifle, and again does a lot of damage, and then she falls to the ground and explodes into a mess of dark smoke and pebbles rules. And Kidwin kind of freaks out from it. It's like, no, it's just her power. You didn't kill her. But like, he is intrigued by what's going on with her. Like, why did that gun do so much damage? It shouldn't have. So I really enjoyed them not knowing that actually this is just like a mirage that Genesis made. Continues to be a great element. Weld gets shot in the face with Flechette's darts, I think. And he's like super annoyed because he's like, oh, my face is going to be messed up for ages.
Poor Weld.
Then they end up in sort of a standoff. Trickster's group is in the middle, surrounded by the wards, which would be a strong position for the wards, except that Trickster is a teleporter, so they aren't really in a great position. And it starts to rain, and Trickster's like, well, you better let us go so you can collect evidence from these bodies. And Weld is like, we're not allowed to collect evidence.
Oh my god, Weld.
And Trickster's like, you shouldn't care that much about the rules. And he swaps Weld with the burned corpse.
Ugh.
Kidwin tries to shoot at Trickster and ends up swapped, so he shoots himself. Fortunately, not a lethal blow. He doesn't have lethal weaponry. And all of a sudden, the balance has shifted, and Vista is about to manipulate things, but she gets swapped onto the wall instead of the flayed corpse, and she gets tangled in the wires, and, she is, again, pretty fragile, so it seems like it's going to hurt her. And Trickster and co. take the opportunity to flee. Sundancer objects to the thing with Vista, but they all run away. Shadowstalker takes on Trickster, and Kidwin's like, nope, I'm going to focus on Vista, who is struggling. She's kind of manipulating the wall so she can slide down, but she's getting tangled in the wires, and Kidwin can shoot them and kind of help her get free a little bit. Shadowstalker gets shot by Ballistic, and she is sort of shadowy, but it seems like it hurts her badly enough that she falls to the ground. And then Sundancer lowers her son into some water, and the mist kind of obscures the travelers, and they're able to get away. Back inside the crime scene, the wards are kind of, picking themselves up. Glory Girl gets back there, and Kidwin does some internal reflection on his own deficits, mostly, specifically his attention ones. He has been diagnosed with ADD, which is not a current diagnosis. It's pretty much synonymous with ADHD, and dyscalculia. It seems like he has a lot of trouble with focus, and he can't really do calculations in his head. He can't keep numbers in his head, and has to do all his measurements on computers. He said these diagnoses were before he developed his powers, and the powers didn't really change things. His daydreaming actually got worse because now his thoughts are really interesting. And he doesn't finish half his projects because he feels compelled to move on to something else. He has been told by the PRT staff that he's exceptional with anti-grav and guns, but he thinks it isn't true.
Yeah.
He thinks he can finish the guns because they're simple in their own way. Really classic case. I'm just editorializing now. Really classic case of someone who's like, oh, but the things I'm good at are easy for me, so they don't count.
Oh.
It's really sad. He says that he is the only tinker in the PRT's records that doesn't have a defined specialty gimmick or trick. He's worried that his special tinker trick is that he's occasionally able to finish something despite his learning disability, which is so sad. And then he thinks about how he has finished bigger projects, but he did dismantle his hoverboard so that he could build this cool floating array of turrets with different guns because he knows he's graduating from the wards soon, and he'll be expected to change his name and his methods because an adult calling himself Kidwin is not really going to fly. Which I was wondering about. I'm glad that he's at least planning to change it. But apparently he got frustrated, and that was 6 days ago, and he hasn't gone back to it, and now he doesn't have his hoverboard, so he feels really bad about it. He said his alternator cannon is the only thing he's made that he feels like is a really huge accomplishment, and he made it when he was on a medication that the PRT's doctors recommended to him. He was only able to stay on it for 2 weeks because it made him increasingly dizzy, anxious, and nauseous, which is so sad.
Yeah.
So he had a glimpse of what he could do if he weren't constantly distracted. And that's why he was so attached to the alternator cannon when Pigot said, we should destroy it. But it did get destroyed by Leviathan. So He says, he's not the worst hero ever, which is quite the, damning with faint praise there. And usually he doesn't get too bogged down in this stuff, but when the team loses, he really starts feeling bad about it. So this is a low moment for him. The team heads back. PRT is on their way. The wards don't need to stay. Kidwin kind of realizes everyone's really bummed out because we just lost this fight. Yeah. They get back, and the word from the Protectorate is they're handling this case. We're not supposed to touch it or get involved in any way. And there's a little bit of speculation, even though they're not supposed to be worrying about it. And Kidwin says, actually, I have a theory. And we get this exchange where he's like, there are 2 more crime scenes where they're the same number of bodies at both crime scenes. And Weld is like, oh, crap, I didn't think of that. And Kidwin's like, oh, he's smarter than he looks. Or maybe I'm just bad with numbers. The connection took me 20 minutes to make. He does not make the leap. Oh, I'm smart too. No, he would never.
You stole my hot take.
I'm so sorry. He's so obviously smart. It's ridiculous. Anyway, the theory is that it's the Slaughterhouse Nine.
That's a familiar theory. Interesting.
Is it?
Yes, what you predicted.
I mean, obviously I didn't know about the Slaughterhouse Nine, but it is roughly what I predicted. True. And Flechette says wouldn't be the first time they arrived in the wake of an Endbringer event. So Weld's like, okay, maybe we have to focus on our patrols. Asks Flechette to go on a patrol with Vista. Kind of sorts out the other patrols and sends Kidwin recruiting. They finally managed to track down Chariot. Assault finally caught up with him and called his mom. And Chariot is willing to talk to their recruiter, which will be Kidwin. So they're both tinkers. They have the shared interest. And Kidwin's like, kind of fun. Don't really want to be replaced. I know that's a childish thought, but that is kind of how I feel. Yeah. And Weld also says that he recognizes that a lot of communication isn't happening within the wards now that they're stretched so thin. And so he put together a plan to shorten everyone's patrols by 20 minutes, take on an extra patrol himself, and have a team meeting every day where they can communicate. And Pigo signed off, and he kind of looks at Clockblocker like, is he going to object? And Clockblocker just kind of nods and plays along. He seems like he is honoring his promise to Vista. And then Weld starts talking about paperwork and Kidwin kind of tunes out. And then we jump to this building in the docks where Kidwin is going to meet with Chariot. So we learn about we see the inhabitants of the building. I don't know if it's worth going into detail on them.
We can circle back later if you want.
He goes up to Kidwin's apartment, meets his mom, Ashley Medina, and notices as she goes to get Chariot that a lot of the electronics in the house are missing parts, except for the wireless modem, which Kidwin's like, he has priorities.
Yeah.
So he shakes hands with Chariot. Chariot seems kind of reluctant. He says his interest on a scale of 1 to 10 in joining the wards is a 4. And his mom is like, Trevor, they offer funding, education. And Kidwin is like, oh, she's not helping. But does kind of go into his spiel, how the powers that be want tinkers. They don't want us working against them, and they do want the stuff we can make, and they'll give us money. It's clear that, you're looking for parts, I've been there. It's hard to get access to the stuff we need to do our jobs. If you join the wards, you get funding, you get materials, and the PRT will buy what you make off of you. And he does a little demonstration of this, floating, basically he's made a drone. It's floating video camera that has this cool 3D computer chip that is made by this other Protectorate tinker. And he's kind of saying yeah, you can get access to this kind of tech. You can see everyone's blueprints. You can see dragons' blueprints, a lot of really cool stuff. He also points out when Chariot's mom was like, but wouldn't it be dangerous? He'd be risking his life. And Kidwin's like, yeah, but honestly, anything he does with his power is going to get him into trouble. People will want what he makes. He would struggle to defend himself. It's going to be safer if he joins the wards. And he can tell that Chariot is interested, but it seems like he's pretending less interest than he has. Kidwin's like, you don't get to negotiate, right? There's no point in playing hard to get, but take my card. And Chariot's like, okay, I'll think about it. And Kidwin leaves the apartment and is like, something's off here, and sends his camera up to watch the apartment and sees Chariot immediately go over to the computer and he hacks into the internet network in the building or something and is able to see the email that he's sending, and it's to like this long code of letters and numbers at cryptmail.com. This guy from the wards came. I'm in. And he's like, someone got to him before I did. Okay. And he calls Weld at the computer console and is like, better get everyone back for a quick meeting and also call Pigot. Seems like they've got trouble.
Interesting.
Yeah, there are a lot of threats.
Yeah.
Yeah, this thing where someone's recruiting Chariot, this thing with the Slaughterhouse Nine.
Yeah.
There's already all of the other problems that were happening.
Yep. We're setting
Classic
up some good
Wildbow.
stuff.
So much stuff going on. Yeah.
Started book 2, really heating up.
Plotline. Just, dropping them in there.
Yeah.
So where do you want to start?
I mean, you already said it, right? Kidwin is obviously really smart.
He's so good.
Right. I have a little section in my notes of just the things. Obviously, he's very smart. So even before this chapter, he observed that Flechette has like a grab bag of powers and asks about her backstory,
that's right.
In a way that she hadn't made that connection herself.
Yeah.
He has a bunch of like Perry and Doll facts, right? Like that he learned, like he's a nerd who retains information, right? He figures out that Ballistic and Sundancer are holding back.
Yep.
Then, by watching what Lily does in the battle, he figures out Trickster's weakness. And he doesn't quite manage to exploit it, but like it's very clever to be able to figure that out. He figures out the Slaughterhouse Nine thing. He is really clever about the ways that he relates to Chariot.
Yeah, he's very strategic.
Even though that ends up being kind of a fake encounter, I feel like his insights are all very smart. Yeah. And then the twist ending, he has a hunch, he follows it,
he's correct.
And he gets important intel. The only thing he does in this chapter that I think is dumb is when he shoots himself a second time, because that happened last chapter too, and then in this chapter he also shoots himself because of Trickster's power. But like, that's
really a metaphor for how he operates though. He's constantly shooting himself.
Yeah. So like, it's so obvious, right? It invites the question of, why does he not see himself this way?
That's a good question. I mean, I feel like maybe the ADHD is enough of an explanation, just if he feels like he's a failure because he can't finish things.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably some just like family of origin, early childhood stuff that like, maybe no one was terrible, but sometimes messages can get through that are not helpful.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get like a trigger event or a hint of what that could be. I mean, yeah, a few things, right? He clearly has ADHD. I mean, he goes on the medication. It doesn't work for him. It's so relatable, like struggling with medication, that makes so much sense. But I thought it was a really interesting note that he disclaims the ADHD.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, he's sort of like
overdiagnosed.
Right, it's overdiagnosed. He doesn't want to embrace it, but the dyscalculia is like, maybe it's just like so unavoidably true that he can't like lie to himself about it. So that impulse.
I mean, executive function is a little bit like harder to pin down. It's like more amorphous.
Right,
it's easier to deny.
I feel like it's very telling. I don't necessarily know how it fits into the picture of who Kidwin is, but it's very telling to me that he wants to resist this diagnosis. And I mean, it could be stigma, right? Like, and that could be related to his trigger event, this feeling of like stigma, and kind of like somehow it's easier for him to be like, oh, I'm a failure because I'm bad, than to think like, oh, I have this condition.
I bet he doesn't feel like he deserves the diagnosis.
Right.
Like,
yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it. It's not that he
has this like disability, it's just that he sucks.
Right. And who knows where that comes from, but it plays into his imposter syndrome, his feeling that he's...
Oh my gosh, so much imposter syndrome.
He literally thinks like, I'm not the hero this city, needs right now. And I'm just like, come on, buddy. It is so hard to hear him say that. Yeah, so like, just thinking more about this, when he says stupid, he means he's disorganized, which seems to be true to some extent. That he's unprepared, right? One, I don't buy that if he'd had the hoverboard, it would have made a difference in the battle.
No.
He's just beating himself up. But I don't buy necessarily that dismantling the hoverboard was a bad idea. I mean, that thing that he's planning to build sounds awesome, right?
Yeah,
like,
and also, so 6 days ago, okay, but like, they've been so busy.
Yeah, there was just an Endbringer attack. I just want to read the thing because it was cool. You sort of mentioned it, but he'd had an idea about a harness with a floating array of turrets that could fire different munitions depending on what gun he holstered in the main slot. Self-adjusting and adaptive, the way his alternator cannon was. And then he says he'd gotten frustrated, put it down, hadn't picked it up again in 6 days. And then he connects it to not getting the travelers in custody, which I think is very silly. But
they were so outgunned.
Yes, absolutely. But just thinking about this, he also has this reaction later where he's like, oh, I'm kind of excited to meet another tinker who's not Armsmaster. And then it's like, oh, this kid got recruited a year or two ago and, like, presumably has some hero worship of Armsmaster, the incredibly accomplished tinker who he will be comparing himself to. And what we know about Armsmaster is he doesn't sleep and he is always prepared for everything. And so,
what a good point.
So, like, it's like, I don't even buy that, like, Armsmaster, he probably is an asshole to Kidwin sometimes, but, like, probably not. Like, he could be a perfectly nice guy, but just inviting that comparison, right? The stand-in.
He's setting an impossible standard.
Father figure, right? Because Armsmaster's whole baggage is he's never enough, but he compensates for it by working so hard. And Kidwin just can't expect, nobody is as hardworking as Colin. That's his whole deal. Yeah. And Kidwin has set up this natural comparison.
Right, and he can't even focus on things as much as Armsmaster does because
he
doesn't function like that. Yeah, so if Armsmaster isn't enough and Kidwin can't even be as good as him... Like
and Armsmaster's specialty is basically like, if he can think of or find a solution, he can be prepared for anything because he can just shove it all into one place, right? Like... It just seems so clear that, like, comparing yourself to Armsmaster in particular is, like, really the perfect trigger for all of Kidwin's issues, right?
That makes sense.
Like, it's really, it's going to be really tough for him to get out from under that guy's shadow.
I suspect it goes deeper than that for Kidwin. Like, I don't think it's all down to Armsmaster, but yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
But I'm sure that was a contributing factor.
I mean, there's also, like...
He also just discounts, like, the good, like... The PRT's like, oh, you're exceptionally good at these things. And he's like, I know that that's not true.
Yeah.
Like, he's almost arrogant in his putting down of himself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, he says it wasn't so true. I want to read this part too. He finished his guns because they were simple in their own way. It was easy enough to take 3 half-finished gun projects and mash them together, create something with multiple settings even. And then he goes on to say,
that's what you're good at. That's your skill. Why do you discount it?
Right. But that's... I mean...
The dramatic irony is fantastic. One of the things this reminds me of is Cheryl Strayed has a great column, one of her Dear Sugar columns, where she is responding to this young woman who I guess is in her 20s or something, who's like, I feel like I should be this like brilliantly accomplished writer by now, and I'm terrible, and I'm trash, and I can't finish anything, and I hate everything I write. And one of the things that she says in response is like, you're both up too high in terms of like what you think you should be, and like it's like the arrogance of like, I should be this really accomplished writer, and down too low and being hard at yourself. And neither of those places is the place where the work gets done. Yeah. The work gets done in the middle, where you have to like let go of both of those assessments of yourself. Yeah. And that's kind of how I feel about Kidwin. I don't think his negative self-talk is the reason he's not getting more done in terms of like building projects, but I don't think it's helping.
Yeah. I mean, I think I am curious about how being a tinker works. We don't get a lot here. I did get a strong sense that he's like, my imagination is so interesting. He says he has an intuition about how things fit together and like sort of how it will work, right? And so I do wonder how much of his struggle is just his negative self-talk versus like he's been trying to lean into this anti-grav and guns thing, and that because his intuition isn't pulling him along, he feels like that's not it, right? Because I guess I'm wondering, like, it seems like he is struggling. Like, it'd be hard for me to imagine, like, Bakuda struggling to make a bomb or something. And so I do wonder if there's something to, like, you know, Kid Win does seem to be uniquely struggling to make use of his power. And so I do wonder, is his negative self-talk so strong that that's the only reason? Or is there more to the story?
I do wonder if he's maybe sort of looking in the wrong direction, because if he hasn't found his gimmick yet, I don't think he can sometimes put things together despite his disabilities.
Exactly. Like, that's
like,
clearly...
I think he's probably...
Exactly.
There probably is something there that he hasn't been able to discover yet, and perhaps that's because of his negative self-talk.
Exactly. Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm curious to find out what it is. I gotta say, I mean, credit to him for being smart, but like, if you're like, oh, there's a crime scene with 3 bodies that seem like they were killed by 3 different powers, there are 2 other crime scenes like this, you're not immediately like, oh, well, there's a group of killers called the Slaughterhouse Nine.
Jenny, just because you're smart doesn't mean you can expect that of all of the wards.
They were distracted by fighting the Travelers. It's a big distraction.
Do you want to briefly talk about the Slaughterhouse Nine? I will remind you that they came up once before in Tattletale's list of the worst of the worst.
Oh, they're the worst of the
Nilbog,
worst.
Slaughterhouse Nine, and Bringers. No. The true monsters.
Yeah, are they just serial killers?
What we learn is that they have come to places where Endbringer attacks have happened, like in their wake, and that Weld is like, they're out of our league. Mm-hmm. In addition to, like, we've been told not to do anything about it. He's kind of, like, so those were the salient things.
Doesn't bode well, I gotta say.
Yeah, but any thoughts about... You know, that
it's funny.
Either like what their deal is or like why they're in the story or like what's going on here.
My initial impulse was like, oh, I'm sure there's a Wikipedia article about them. And I was like, they don't exist in our world. I mean, I'm sure there is like a, you know, a worm wiki where I could look them. Well, obviously I won't, but I was like, we should just Google that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, serial killer seems like a strong vibe there. Because they're sort of the worst of the worst, sort of the more senseless category, I don't know if they're like, they have a goal with their serial killing necessarily. Like, they might just be, like the Endbringers, really destructive. Although that sort of feels like an interesting question. I mean, I think the impression we've gotten is that the Endbringers are unique in being these sort of not clearly humanoid capes. So probably the Slaughterhouse Nine are not... Whatever's going on with the Endbringers, probably it's different than the Slaughterhouse Nine, but like, we don't know that. It would be kind of interesting if everyone Tattletale had listed as the worst of the worst sort of has the same origin, the same... Maybe the Slaughterhouse Nine are 9 Case 53s who found each other and they didn't have any, you know, family or life because they were just like dumped with no memories and they all had a lot of rage and they banded together to get revenge on society.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That would pose a challenge for Pico's desire to make people not scared of capes anymore, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
These feel like really scary capes.
Yeah.
And it's funny, the Endbringers make people like capes more because the Endbringers are the only ones who can oppose capes. But like, if these sort of feel like part of the human category of capes rather than these bizarre monsters that appear every few months.
Yeah. And that is, I mean, that would also be a somewhat sympathetic origin story for a bunch of serial killers. It would complicate our feelings about them. So yeah, it'd be interesting.
Maybe they're like Dexter-type serial killers where one of them has the power to know who deserves to die.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That invites a lot of questions. There's a magical artifact in one of the Brandon Sanderson books that gets created. It's a sword that was created and imbued with sentience so that it destroys evil. But the creators of the sword did not think about the problem of how does the sword know what evil is?
Great question.
It's one of the best sort of ongoing themes related to that object.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess I'm pitching like really sympathetic gang of serial killers. Probably they're not. Probably they're awful.
So, okay, pivoting back to Kid Win, right? It's so unfair. He talks about his team failing. Again, totally outclassed by the Travelers.
Oh my
gosh. Honestly, they did fine. And now there's
if
serial killers in the
had really
city.
Wanted to defeat them.
Right.
Oof.
But he's focusing on his own personal failings first. He has this sense, if I could be better, then I'd fight off the serial killers and I'd capture all the travelers and maybe I would have stopped Leviathan. You know, like, where does it end? And it feels like a very individualistic, maybe very American ideal of like, I, the individual, have to be like strong enough. And I also wonder if this is like the dark side of these hero narratives that they're trying to implant in society. Because when he says, I'm stupid, I think what he means is, I'm weak. I don't always win. Like, I'm not the strongest.
Kid win.
Right. I'm not the strongest person in the room. Right. I think what he means is like, well, Glory Girl is smart because she's really good at punching, and Weld is smart because he's so tough. You can't destroy him. Right. Like, yeah, he probably doesn't think that literally, but
he doesn't think they're smart. He thinks he's a tinker, so he should be smart, and there are other categories, so they should be strong.
But I think what he mean. I think I'm overstating it, but I think what he's saying is, yeah, I'm a tinker. Tinkers are the smart capes, but smart tinkers exclusively build like dragon mechs, you know, that can go toe to toe with an Endbringer. And why hasn't he built something like that? Right? Like, he wants to be tinkering so that he's doing the equivalent of what Glory Girl or Weld or, you know, Dragon was doing in that fight.
Though I've got to say, it feels a little bit like, you know, the really thin person who's like, oh, I'm so fat. And everyone around them is like, what are you saying about us then? Like, if he thinks that if he were a little better, he would be saving the city and none of these things would be problems. Like, what's he saying about the rest of his friends? Are they incompetent? Like,
that's so funny.
Glory Girl hasn't stopped all these things.
I don't know if it's just because, like, maybe I relate to his baggage too much, but it could also just be, it's just a very teenage thing to be so self-involved. Like, of course, the other people don't have the expectations because you're your own main character and, you know, like, you have to be the one, right? But that is a good point. And I feel like maybe if he had more friends, his friends might like point that out to him or like try and help him talk him through some of the issues. In the group? I was wondering if he's lonely.
And Gallant were really close.
He's second youngest, so he's not the baby of the group, but he seems to be a couple years younger.
Because he's saying like, I'm going to graduate from the ward soon. And I was like, oh, maybe he's older than I thought. And now that you're saying that, I'm like, oh no, he's just thinking ahead in a panicked way. Okay.
Yeah, and he's kind of a nerd, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's the vibes that I get off of him.
He and Vista aren't like super close.
Yeah, so I wonder if he's just like a little bit, and you know, he's distracted in his head, maybe a bit of a loner by, you know, dint of personality.
He does think it might be fun to have another tinker in the war.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is, and we've been on this theme of like people with connections or not, and so
true.
He's not worried at the top of his mind about making a friend, but I do wonder if he's, you know,
maybe that would be helpful to him.
This desire to, you know, be better is keeping him isolated. And the thing about him wanting to grow up, change his code name. You know, Kidwin's a silly name for an adult cape. Like, I'll be in the Protectorate then.
I mean, he is not wrong.
Of course. But I think this is another way he's holding himself back, because this is a little bit like Taylor's like, well, one day
I'll be totally different.
I'll be totally different. I'll turn myself, you know,
Absolutely.
over to the Protectorate, and I'll have all the evidence, and I'll be like, blah, 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 and they'll all laud me as a hero, and then I'll be able to make people forget about the time I carved out Loon's eyes, and, you know, like, on and on and on and on. And I feel like this is a little bit of this same mistake of like, oh yeah, well, what I'm doing now doesn't count.
One day I'll reinvent myself.
I'll reinvent myself, and I'll be, you know...
I'll be adult victorious, as you were calling him earlier today.
Man victorious.
Good old man Vic.
Yeah. Relatedly, I do suspect that he is not the best cape on the team in terms of exceptional powers.
That does sound right.
He didn't have a high rating, but like Clockblocker and Vista seem to be like uniquely talented.
Unusual,
wards,
definitely.
Right,
yeah.
Right. And so like not everybody's going to be Clockblocker or Vista, and that is okay.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is kind of, I guess this is also what you were saying. Like, what does he think about Shadowstalker? What does he think about the other, you know, Flechette?
He knows
like,
he's not the worst hero ever.
Yeah, but it's also like, I don't know, like, he clearly has so many strengths that he doesn't think of as strengths, and they're also directly related to his intelligence. And it's so sad that whether it's about wanting to seem tough or seem like Armsmaster or wherever he's gotten this idea of who he's supposed to be, it's just so sad for him that
I know. I
he,
want to just like grab him and make him think differently.
Yeah. The thing that I want to say about that though is like, even if he's a relatively weak Cape, being weak is not the same as being dumb, and
so
being not the best does not make you worthless, right? Like it's such a insidious thing that a lot of people deeply internalize by comparing themselves to, who they see as their betters or the people that they aspire to be. And it's just like, it's such a deeply toxic thing to feel, right? It's like, even if all of the things that he worries about himself are true, he still deserves to be on the team.
Yeah,
he has a lot to
cool
contribute.
Stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's so tough. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say about his specialty or not, I feel like part of the imposter syndrome is also like, if you're a tinker who doesn't have a gimmick, right? Like if you believe that to be true and you think that like what's officially on the paperwork isn't true, that's just like gonna feed your complex about that too.
Oh,
right?
definitely.
Like this idea that all tinkers have a thing and you don't have your thing yet. Yeah, really tough.
Before we move to Chariot, I do just want to say this chapter made me, I guess, continue to think relatively well of the Travelers.
Okay.
I think in general, like watching Ballistic and Sundancer really hold back when it came to inflicting damage on the wards. Like they could have tried to actually take those kids out, but they're like, here's this group of children trying to take us into custody. Like, no, we're not going to try to like kill them. And also Sundancer getting upset at what Trickster did to Vista at the end.
Yeah.
It seems like maybe that's more about Sundancer's personality. Maybe it's, kind of the group as a whole. Like, Trickster clearly didn't mind doing it to Vista, so it's not like everyone. But it does seem like they are a fairly humane group of villains.
I mean, it's funny. I mean, your fair point about Ballistic, I feel like I came away with the opposite impression that like
Really?
Sundancer is, again, and we've seen this with her reaction to Skitter. She's the one who's like a little squeamish and feels troubled. But like Trickster is so callous.
Yeah, but
like,
he's mostly not inflicting serious damage. Like, putting Vista up on the wall is like the worst thing that he does, and that didn't even end up hurting her.
Did it not? I thought it was like sort of a barbed wire situation. I
think it was just wire, but there was worry that it would cut her. Maybe it is barbed wire.
Yeah, maybe I'm
sure.
overreacting, but the way I imagine it is
Sundancer did get upset, so
is that it's risky in the sense that just you could get a really bad cut and start bleeding. It was like it felt like.
Yeah, but that seems like relatively small potatoes for a cape fight.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like there's a range of what the Travelers are willing to do to this group of kids, and maybe Trickster is sort of on the worst end of it, but it's not that bad a range.
It could also be, and I guess Sundancer could also just be reacting like the swapping corpses around is like kind of a gross and weird thing to do.
True.
So what she's reacting to could be the sort of like
stop putting these kids where
desecration. Offensiveness of it as much as no, poor Vista. I mean, I like her, so I don't want to see her hurt. But if it's more Vista is restrained and it's not like, I don't know. I feel like I feel pretty different about it if it's like barbed wire or not. So it'll be interesting. Yeah,
we could probably check.
We could reread. But yeah, it's just funny. My interpretation was like, I felt like Trickster was crossing a line, and like, but you could also be right. You could say more about Sundancer or,
Yeah, it doesn't seem like any of them are very far over the line.
The thing I'll say in Trickster's defense is just that weirdly, he sort of says to Weld, oh, you guys are going to check for evidence, right? And then Weld is like, no. And then he does the corpse swapping thing. So like, I could see a reading where he's like, I'm trying to help them out, and like maybe they'll be able to get something out of this. And then Weld takes it off the table and he's like, all right, well, I had this in my back pocket,
I thought he was like, well, I'll put these corpses down where you have to examine them.
That's funny. Yeah.
But the thing I was going to say about them is it makes me really sad that they had to team up with Coil, because Coil clearly is someone who doesn't have a lot of lines about what he's willing to do. And they seem like they're really over a barrel with whatever her name was in the vault.
Noelle
in the vault. And it seems like they were always villains, probably. We don't actually know that that's true, but it seems like they really badly need money for whatever it is that she needs. And so they've had to make some alliances that maybe they wouldn't have made otherwise.
Yeah. It was also interesting, the vibe of this fight felt a lot like the gala fight, in that mostly the travelers are really embarrassing the wards. Glory Girl gets yeeted, Weld gets his
that's kind of what I'm
face.
saying. Yeah, they're like not really trying to hurt them.
Yeah.
Should we talk about Chariot?
Let's do it.
Yeah, so Chariot, Kid Win gets the sense there's like something off. And it turns out, he has been suborned. Who got to him first?
What do you think?
Yeah, so it's an interesting question. I don't know anything about crypt mail. It seems like it's shady, like sort of a dark web vibe. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know who would have gotten to him where he wouldn't just have joined a villain gang.
Yeah.
Like, if Coil wanted him, Coil probably would have just, put him on one of his teams or something.
Yeah.
If Empire 88 wanted him, again, he could just join up with one of their two gangs. Like, who was it who would want him to meet with the ward's recruiter first? Or was it more that he wanted to meet with the ward's recruiter before he agreed? Because he's like, I want to see what they're offering me.
Well, interesting. That's not how I read the email, but I don't want to give anything away. But like, I don't know. Could you read it another way?
Guy from wards came. I'm in. I wonder if he is planning to infiltrate the wards.
Interesting.
If he's just like, I'm in with the wards is maybe what he's saying.
Interesting.
Like, I made the contact. I'm in. I can spy for you or whatever.
Yeah, intriguing.
Yeah, so in that case, if they're looking for a spy, I could see that being something Coil would do.
Ooh.
Coil wants to take down the wards and the protectorate, or at least, weaken them. He probably wants to know what's going on with them. I could definitely see him wanting this, like, if he gets the opportunity with this, like, new cape, who doesn't have an alliance on either side.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So I guess Chariot was pretending not to be too interested because he didn't want to be like, yeah, sure, I'm in. Yeah, sign me up.
Right.
Because he wanted to play a little hard to get to make it seem realistic. Unfortunately, that ended up...
yeah, exactly. He's not a good actor.
No, not good.
Yeah. Or Kid Win's just incredible at parsing body
very
language.
Good.
No, I think Chariot, it's a bit of a clumsy play in retrospect.
Yes. And Kid Win is onto him. I wonder, it would be fascinating if this is how they end up finding out about Coil. They already know Coil exists, so what they would find out is maybe like, oh, Coil is sending a spy. But like, if this puts Coil on their radar in a more urgent way of like, oh wow, he's trying to like get in with the Protectorate and the wards.
Yeah.
Because Pigot is going to know she's not a very creatively minded strategist, is my impression of her. So she might not be on the like, yeah, let's bring him in and like sort of the tattletale, like let's bring a traitor into our midst and mislead. And and I don't know that the wards would be good at that anyway. Like tattletale is very good at that.
Yeah.
And I don't know that the wards have anyone like that.
Yeah, it's also, they're about to have a meeting. It's very, like Tattletale's the only one who knew. Like the Undersiders wouldn't have been able to keep it together if they all knew.
Yeah.
Right? So it's actually way harder to do that kind of
a group.
reverse mole thing as a group. That's interesting.
That is, I'm always impressed by the show Jury Duty because of that. I thought they did an amazing job. But they like rehearsed and stuff, and we're all professional actors, and that is not what the wards are.
Yeah. But I gotta say, I liked Chariot, right? Like,
he seemed fine.
Yeah, he strikes me as a little bit
How
like...
do you resist Coil, who gets at your deepest need, Ted?
Yeah, which in his case is just like cool gear and money,
Cool gear
right?
and money.
Yeah.
Which the wards would
They
give
live
him,
in this
but
tenement
less.
building, right? I really liked Chariot's mom. Like, it's clear that Chariot finds her annoying, but...
I found her kind of annoying. When she's like, this is what my taxpayer dollars are going to, this video camera. It's like, lady, that video camera's going to catch your son being a traitor, so...
Well... excuse me. Are wards allowed to read anyone's email? This was something that it did not, I did not blink at this the first time through. But this time through, I was like, now hold on a second. Like, I'm not trying to be all welled about this, but couldn't he have gotten like a warrant? You know, couldn't. Isn't there and like for narrative reasons, you know, what are you at? Like, what can you expect? And like now it's clearly maybe it's this like spy versus spy, heroes and villains, you know, like I don't, but like I really am wondering.
They're judge, jury, and executioner, Ted.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't even really expect that to come up, but I was a little bit like. You know.
No, you're right. That's a little bit out of bounds. Probably.
It's such a genre. It's such a genre thing that I really did a double take, and I was like, "Wait, what?"
Well, I kind of expected the video camera to just do all the spying. But,
right. And that feels a little bit more. I guess like spying on someone in their house is also not cool, but you know, like, but
they
still,
did
there's
invite him in.
Yeah.
Earlier.
I mean, yeah, and so you know, I don't know.
It's not vampire rules.
Yeah, and also he's a teen. Like, he probably doesn't know. Like,
That's true.
He's probably never tried to do this or been briefed or trained about it. He's just...
They probably tried to brief them and he was daydreaming.
Yeah. Also, it's probably
cool
the kind
guns.
of thing... Right. It's kind of like maybe just tinkers can, you know, generally being good at hacking stuff is sort of like expected and you get an exemption because of your classification.
Wow, that does not seem safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but I totally understand, like, him thinking, like, oh, this jerk is trying to put one over on me. Okay, well, I'm going to spy on him right back. Like, it feels fair instead of a one-on-one type thing.
I don't even, like, strongly feel... It's one of those things where in the story, it doesn't matter at all. And then if I stop to think about it as, like, a... And, like, I don't know...
An adult in the real world.
Maybe it'll come up... I don't know. Maybe it's... You know,
if he goes like, actually, we can't even consider this. You obtained this.
But
evidence.
it's like, it's also like, I don't expect Worm to be like The Wire, and it's about the procedural details of like the criminal justice system. I expect we'll get some scenes. We had the canary scene. We have some other things, but I don't really think that's where the story's going to be going.
No, not the focus.
But yeah, I like Chariot. I liked his mom. I liked the detail that's sort of like that she takes good care of their apartment. She wants to make a good impression. It's such a big opportunity, right?
I know. But she's also, she's worried about him getting killed, which is completely reasonable.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's a very natural response.
It was a really interesting response from Kid Win. Like, well, if he's going to use his abilities, he is going to be in danger. And this is sort of what we found with Taylor. Like, she's like, I'm going to go out in the streets. And the first night, she ends up fighting Luke.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's sort of like, what's it like to be a tinker, right? You can't not use your power, both because you want to use it and because people won't leave you alone.
Yeah.
And that tinkers are like extra needed, desired as like a resource for the government or a villain
Kid Win
gang.
doesn't feel good about himself despite his extra desirability.
He's got $2,000 in the bank already.
It was fun to see those details about like how the money works for the wards. I'm really enjoying this deep dive into the wards. It's a little weird because like I don't expect we're going to stay with the wards after this arc. Like if we did, that would be pretty surprising.
Yeah.
Like if it weren't for Sophia, I'd be like, well, maybe Taylor's going to decide to join or something. Like with Shadowstalker there, like there's no way.
Yeah, and we have such momentum building, you know.
I know. I'm like, and we're just going to leave them after the Vista Shadowstalker chapters?
Do you have any theories? I feel like this is something we could talk about more maybe at the end of the arc too. But do you have any thoughts about like what purpose this might serve? Getting to know these characters,
getting the fuller picture of what's going on with the wards and the protect. I mean, we're not really seeing the protectorate, but with the wards in Brockton Bay, like I do wonder if they're going to be bigger characters going forward. If there are going to be more interactions with the Undersiders, with Taylor. Again, Sophia's presence really throws a wrench in that. But
I mean, it feels significant to me that they're also teens. Just getting the same exposure, you know. It could also be a little bit like Taylor now has such a strong understanding of like what it would be like if she joined the wards, and we have such a negative view. It is really satisfying to learn both that it wouldn't have worked out for Taylor because of the Sophia thing, but it's just sort of like no matter who you are as a teenager with powers in Brockton Bay,
it's tricky.
It's a tough situation, right? So like it's fun to get that series of rotating perspectives. It would be just so different if this was an arc that was like all the protectorate that we haven't met before.
Yeah,
like continuing with Miss Militia and the others.
But the fact that they're teens makes it feel more likely to me that we will get them, in sort of relationship.
Yeah, and
they're
they have problems that are more relatable to Taylor's problems. Yeah, which is just like it's a much more fertile ground.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on this we never learn his name thing. I feel like it could just be like, Wildbow doesn't need to have like clunky exposition. We sort of get it from like these other things. Clock Blocker is still Clock Blocker in the narration, but his mom calls him Dennis, right? But we do have this moment where Dennis calls Missy Missy. And going back to this theme of like, is Kidwin a little bit like alone in the wards? Like nobody has talked to him in an informal way and used his name. Like even in this chapter, Weld calls Flechette Lily just like casually.
So true.
And there hasn't been anyone.
It's because Kidwin just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
It's like how you have some friends you call by their first and last name.
Yeah. So I don't know. I wonder if that's there. I was also thinking,
what if Kidwin is his real name?
Like Edwin.
Yes, exactly.
But it's Kidwin.
Kidwin.
Yeah. Well, I think this is the first interlude where we haven't learned the character's real name, except for Coil, which is not a flattering comparison. But I did just want to say that in retrospect, I was just thinking about that, it totally makes sense. Because, of course, whatever identity Coil had before he was Coil...
doesn't have it anymore.
He is just totally subsumed into, like, that's who he sees himself as.
I'm sure whatever identity he has in his suburban home or whatever, where he sleeps, where, like, one of his timelines sleeps every night, like, just has a fake name. Yeah.
And so, there could be, like, maybe Kidwin also has kind of lost himself to this identity, and that's part of why he's struggling so much. Like, if he had more of a connection to his Taylor name or Dennis name or whatever, maybe he wouldn't be
because we also don't hear anything about his current family situation.
Yeah.
Which we didn't for, I guess, Lily. Well, doesn't have one.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there were some fun details. I don't know. I'll just say... Weld has a special chair so he doesn't destroy it. I thought that was great. Like, because he weighs 600 pounds. He needs a special chair.
Yeah, and he needs it to not be metal.
Yeah, he needs it to not be metal. Google exists. Chariot's using Google Docs. This is very funny to me to imagine how Google is trying to, innovate in 2011 with the existence of capes. They gotta own some tinkers by now. Kidwin's drone is a compact disc, which I read as compact disc.
Oh, I read
like
it
a
that
CD,
way too.
But it's a compact disc.
Okay, it's just an adjective to describe the disc. Yes,
right.
That makes sense.
I had to reread it several times before
that didn't even occur to me. I totally assumed it was a CD,
and not a compact disc. It's so funny. It's so funny.
Oh, it's because we're old.
It really just depends on how you pronounce it, I guess. I mean, I don't want to, like, I feel like we didn't get enough to, like, really dig in on it, but I thought it was really cool, the description of the hard light in his spark gun.
Oh, yeah.
And we got that it is inspired by both samples from Dauntless and Purity.
Yeah.
And so there's, like, I think another helix formation in, like, the barrel of his spark gun, and it, like, charges itself over. And so because it's hard light, and this is, like, I think a common sci-fi thing, right? It has, like, an oomph when it hits you. Mm-hmm. But then I feel like we also got, because of that, this very, very small stakes mystery about, like, the material composition of Genesis.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because his rifle or whatever does way more damage than he's expecting. And it's a funny moment where he's like, did I just kill her? No, it's fine. Right? Like you were saying. But I do wonder, he says, like, this gun isn't good against organic materials. And, like, Genesis looks like a, I guess, gargoyle creature. But is it that she's inorganic? Is she also, her forms are made of hard light? What's the,
I mean, I was assuming her forms just are fairly vulnerable because they're, like, not quite real.
Yeah, right. But yes, it's a very small stakes mystery. I'd be curious, maybe we'll learn more about either side of it. I thought it was nice that Lily is fitting in. She's cracking jokes. I feel like it could have gone...
to hang out with Vista.
She could have been like, oh, well, Weld and Lily are the outsiders, and they're both like Girl Scout, Boy Scout types, and, you know, Flechette's the favorite, you know, like, be more like Flechette. No, she's cracking jokes. Weld makes her go out on patrol and she takes it. Like, I feel like she's managing to blend in a way that Weld is still struggling with. Though we do see a few beats of him, you know.
Yeah, he's doing a little better.
Clockblocker's coming around and he invents stand-up. A daily stand-up, which is an excellent organizational practice.
It's so true.
This is like the first management thing he's done where I'm like, yes, Weld, this is good.
And he's taking on an extra patrol shift to compensate for it, which is...
I thought that was very good. We got a teeny tiny little bit where Weld is like, we left Flechette out on her own and it was dangerous. And she's like, it wasn't so bad. With a little smile.
It worked out okay.
So I wanted to just quickly take us into, do you have any thoughts about, if we're on a ship watch here, what this ship name could be?
Okay, well, I can't really say it because we already talked about this and you gave me this idea, which is so good.
You need a better one.
No, I think it's got to be Flechette.
Okay.
For the plushies and Flechette. Okay. Flechette is great.
Flechette.
Yep.
Sorry, listeners. Jenny will probably think of a better one eventually.
I don't know. I like Flechette.
We ship it. One other thing quickly, another through line for these interludes has been kind of like what's going on with the people of Brockton Bay. Mm-hmm. And we do briefly get Kidwin going through this tenement building and getting to see, like, there's a bunch of loose kids running around. There's this guy on the stairs who Kidwin, like, gets a really bad vibe off of. And then there's, like, some gang members and stuff as he's going up.
Just kind of on guard.
And so I enjoyed getting to see just sort of, like, for the people of Brockton Bay, like, here is us getting to see in a lot more detail how they're struggling and just, you know, kind of all that. In particular, the gang of Asian men really, really is inviting the question, what happened to the ABB?
Yeah.
Both the gang members, who we see here, and the coerced recruits. Like, I really want... Yeah, it makes sense that none of the characters would have followed up on it, but, like... Yeah. I just really want to know, like, what happened to those poor people?
I wonder if they're still organized in some way.
Yeah,
even though there are no capes
Oni Lee still out there trying to organize them? Has someone unpowered done it? Have they folded up into the merchants?
It'd be so funny if the ABB just started up again.
No, right, but it's like, maybe the interesting thing to say about it is... narratively, the important thing feels like Leung's out of the picture, therefore the ABB is out of the picture. And
not accurate.
on this read, I'm like, but what about all those normal people? Yeah. And, like, that's not what the story is about. But since we got to see them a little bit here, I was like, I want a little more. like what actually is going on with these guys?
Good question.
I wanted to end with one other thing about Kidwin.
Okay.
I love the moment when he has a decision to make. Shadowstalker gets the upper hand on Trickster, has him face down in a puddle. And Vista is strung up in the wire. And he thinks, like, what should I do? I can help one of them, but not both. And he chooses save Vista, get her down safely. And I guess, do you have a reaction as to what that says about him? And is it the right choice?
Well, so he thought Shadowstalker can handle it, and that's what she would want. Like, she likes doing things on her own.
Yeah.
And I think that says more about Shadowstalker than it does about Kidwin, and it says a lot about, like, the importance of team dynamics. Like, Kidwin, I think, thinks of Vista as someone who is more on his team than Shadowstalker is.
Yeah.
Because Shadowstalker likes to do things alone and, not going to help someone who probably just bite your head off for doing it.
Yeah.
And I think also Vista was in trouble in a way that Shadowstalker wasn't. Like, Shadowstalker was choosing to engage Trickster and in a position of power over him at the moment, and potentially could have the opportunity to take him out or take him into custody or something like that. But, like, that would be like a potential plus, but like Vista getting really hurt is like a potential minus, and like avoiding that potential minus I could see being more important. I also just don't think bringing the travelers into custody was very important, so.
Now, I agree with that, but I want to make the case that Kid Win made the wrong choice.
Okay.
From a certain perspective. Right? I don't think that this was tactically sound.
Okay.
And especially if I was overreacting to the danger Vista was in, right? Which I'm open to that interpretation, right? Like, the idea that they have a chance to accomplish their goal, bring these 3 people in. Trickster was the main problem. If he has a chance to shoot and incapacitate Ballistic or Sundancer, that could be a real, like, turning the tide of the battle thing. If his goal here is to get his team a win, then, you know, I'm asking myself, what would Taylor do in this situation? Right? Like, I feel like the right choice, if you're looking for the Kid Win, is to use this moment to try and beat the Travelers. Now, maybe you knock down Ballista, then Sundancer just makes her sun bigger and melts somebody, and that's a much worse outcome than everything else, right? But like, I really wonder if there was an opportunity here that he chose not to take. You might be able to tell, I don't really feel like this is actually saying something bad about Kid Win, though. Because I think the choice that he makes is the more heroic one. He wants to save his teammate who's in trouble. And at the end of the day, he cares more about his teammates and helping them out and things like that than he does for the win. Even though he beats himself up about like, oh, it sucks when my team is losing. He doesn't regret this choice.
He's more like Kid Rescue than Kid Win.
Yeah, he's exactly. That's a beautiful way to put it. And so I think there's an interesting thematic thing here. It reminds me of Gru not caring about the hostage in the fight against the Empire 88, when he's just like, nope, Cricket is not going to take a hostage. I don't care about that. And Taylor thinks, ooh, I might have cared about that. And that might have been the difference, right? Like, here's an example of this Kid Rescue, right? Like, he's making a heroic choice. I think there's a case to be made. It's not the right tactical choice. And like, I kind of respect it and like it. And I think it's an interesting thing that for all of the things that he doesn't like about himself, this is not one of those things.
Yeah, that's true. I did just look up. I'm not seeing any mention of barbed wire. It's possible I'm missing it, but I did
Did you flip
read
back
this
to the last chapter?
Yeah, there wasn't any mention of wire at all.
Got it. Yeah, what
one.
it was.
There might have, again.
But like, so what's she in danger of?
I don't search because I don't want to find things that are spoilers.
What's she in danger of?
So the wire is looped around, her body. She's kind of tangled in it. And more than one loop is around her neck.
Oh, yeah.
And the wire is pulled so tightly against her throat that Kid Win fears it will cut her skin.
Yeah.
So she is actually in some danger of, like, if her throat gets cut, like, she would be pretty badly hurt. But maybe she'd be okay, but it would not be good.
And then, so then I also think if it's not barbed wire, then Trickster probably he just didn't think it through. Like, it's not like he's intending to hurt Vista, but then, like, the result of it is like, oh my god, you might have just killed that girl. Right.
Yes, it was careless.
So, more careless and dumbass than, like, he's actually trying to,
Yeah, so should we talk about predictions?
Let's get into some predictions.
I think it's going to be Vista's chapter next. I hope we see her patrolling with Flechette. That would be fun.
Ooh.
Yeah, we can get some conversation. Always good for a chapter.
Okay.
Nice to do some exposition that way.
Yeah. Well, if that's true, then what takes us into the final interlude?
It's a good question.
You've predicted the start. Where does the chapter end?
Yeah, so we have a few threads. We could see something with the Slaughterhouse Nine. That would be exciting. Maybe they'll encounter them. Very dangerous. I don't think we're going to necessarily see anything from Chariot while they're on patrol. Hopefully we'll get to see that meeting beforehand, actually. I forgot about that. And they'll decide what to do about Chariot. I think that they would not be willing to take him in, but I think they'll probably want to interrogate him.
Yeah.
So they'll probably want to, like, invite him in and, like, then sit him down and be like, okay, so who are you working for?
Yeah.
Because they don't seem like they would play the risky entanglement game.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I don't think we're going to have Traveler's action. I think that was probably like a, 2 and done. They're not interested in approaching the wards again, probably. Yeah. They were just interested in getting away. It doesn't sound like we're going to encounter the Undersiders. Like, it would be kind of a surprise for them to be introduced at this point. So I kind of feel like we're going to see something. Like, maybe we wouldn't see the Slaughterhouse Nine themselves, but maybe we'll see some Protectorate members who are working against them or something. Like, I expect something of that will come up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get to hear some more about Gallant and Vista's crush.
Yeah, well, there are no new cape names.
Okay.
But I'd be happy to read the first line of the chapter.
Please do.
Don't cross the yellow line, Flechette.
Said to Vista, they're going to go visit Parian. Oh, I'm a little annoyed that we don't get the meeting of everyone first. Although, if they're on patrol while... I forgot about the order of events.
Yeah.
Kidwin is doing his recruiting while they're on patrol. Yeah. So maybe we'll get the meeting after.
Yeah, so it's not like all one night, but it does seem like we're getting...
like a couple of days.
A couple of days. It's still, like most of Worm so far, very rapid-paced.
Yeah. It feels like it's been like less than 48 hours since Weld got here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think maybe I predicted the order of the interludes correctly, which
is
what are the odds? Kind of astonishing,
it's
honestly.
It's going to end with Shadowstalker.
It doesn't have to.
Well, sorry, I should have kept reading. Don't cross the yellow line, Flechette said to me as I ran up. Me, Shadowstalker. This is the first person interlude.
You've sold me on it. I believe it now.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Every time Sophia thinks, she says, me, Shadowstalker, like Eloise.
Perfect. Wow, I'm really excited to have predicted this order correctly, maybe.
I can't possibly confirm it at this point, but it seems like it was a really good prediction.
Yes. Of all the things to use my predictive powers on, the order of interludes.
Well,
I can only use them for a couple hours every month.
We might find out for sure.
Okay.
Next time
on Inchworm.
Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae. You can read Worm at parahumans.wordpress.com and support the author at patreon.com/wildvote. Follow us on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Inchworm Podcast, or find our Discord link and any other updates on inchwormpodcast.com.